On March 6, 2024, Kazuchika Okada made his official AEW debut by interrupting the Young Bucks and Eddie Kingston. Following this, he immediately aligned himself with the Bucks, turning heel and starting the New Elite faction. By then, Okada was already a massive name in the world of professional wrestling, but since he joined AEW, the hype has kinda died off a little bit. Is that because of the company themselves? Or are there some other factors at play? Well, that's what we're here to find out today. You're watching Sportskeeda Wrestling, my name is Liam, and today we're taking a look at how AEW is failing Kazuchika Okada. But before we go any further, don't forget to hit subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified first about all our newest videos. We are getting mighty close to 200,000 subscribers, and it would help us out a lot. Thank you, and on with the video. Okada was a cornerstone of New Japan Pro Wrestling, widely regarded as one of its biggest stars. He held the IWGP Heavyweight Championship 5 times, with combined reigns totaling over 1700 days, which is more than anyone else in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He was very much the top star of New Japan at the time, akin to a John Cena or Roman Reigns by WWE standards. Even though Okada made his official AEW debut in 2024, it wasn't the first time he'd appeared for the company. AEW is in a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is why we got the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, where wrestlers from New Japan could show up in AEW and have crossover matches with the talent. Kazuchika Okada actually made his first appearance on AEW on June 22nd, 2022, on an episode of Dynamite, where he came to Hangman Adam Page's aid during an attack from Jay White and Adam Cole. The inaugural Forbidden Door followed, and he had his first match for AEW, where he faced Jay White, Adam Page, and Adam Cole in a 4-way match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which he lost. Moving forward to June 21st, 2023, when Okada returned to AEW once again, this time to face off against the American Dragon Bryan Danielson before their big match at Forbidden Door 2023. Danielson defeated Okada by submission, which was, I'm sure, a shock to some, so AEW audiences were already familiar with Okada, and when he officially arrived in the company, there were high expectations for him. However, more than a year after his debut, he is somewhat directionless. He's had some memorable moments, and AEW has even teased a reboot of his legendary New Japan rivalry against Kenny Omega. But for the most part, his run has been forgettable. You could argue that Okada is still adjusting to the North American television wrestling style, with the slightly comedic edge to his current character, acting as a way to somewhat ease him into that. However, considering his legendary status in other parts of the wrestling world, there's clearly a lot more potential here. So what exactly happened? Following his debut, AEW did actually present Okada like a star. He defeated Eddie Kingston to capture the Continental Championship, and he clicked into his heel persona right away. It actually worked, considering who he was aligning himself with. He brought a unique charisma to the Elite. Not long after, Jack Perry joined the group, and with the Young Bucks and Perry by his side, Okada appeared to be on a strong path forward. One of the biggest moments of his run so far came when Okada and the rest of the Elite attacked CEO Tony Khan on April 24th, 2024. It wasn't just another storyline twist, this was the first time Tony Khan had ever been physically involved in his company's action. That made it feel a lot more personal and a lot more real. Even Tony's father, Shahid Khan, showed up after the show. It felt like a true power grab, and a sign that things in AEW were about to change. The next week on Dynamite, Okada interrupted an injured Kenny Omega. For longtime fans, this was a huge moment. These two had one of the greatest rivalries in New Japan Pro Wrestling history, with matches that had raised the bar. Their rivalry brought global attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they were a huge part of the reason why American audiences started paying close attention, in recent times at least. So seeing them share the ring again in AEW sparked excitement among fans. It made them believe that something truly special was on the horizon. To push their rivalry over the edge, Okada and the Elite attacked Kenny Omega. The Young Bucks had already distanced themselves, and this move left no doubt that the friendship was dead. Omega, who was once the spiritual heart of the Elite, was left beaten and helpless, eventually stretchered out of the ring. It was a clear message that Okada was the new guy. Around this time, each member of the Elite claimed gold, marking their complete takeover of the company. Okada had the Continental Championship, the Young Bucks won the tag team titles, and Jack Perry was the TNT champion. Following this, the new Elite proved their dominance in the ring. At Double or Nothing, they faced off against Bryan Danielson, Darby Allin, and FTR in an Anarchy in the Arena match, and came out on top. The match was pure chaos, and fans were not prepared for the shocking moments that followed. Darby Allin took things to a wild extreme when he set Jack Perry alight with a flamethrower, but all the madness didn't stop there, as the Elite hanged Darby Allin and left him dangling acting as they won the match. This is indeed a disturbing universe. However, after this big win, the Elite lost a blood and guts match against Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, Swerve Strickland and The Acclaimed, in another match that had many incredible moments. Around this time, AEW was getting ready for its biggest show of the year, All In. However, there was no sign of Kazuchika Okada on the card of that show, though the Bucks were scheduled to defend the Tag Team Championships against The Acclaimed and FTR. Jack Perry was defending his TNT title against Darby Allin, but no Okada. Yeah, that was a weird decision. However, that didn't end up being the case, as Okada entered the Casino Battle Royal for the contractor challenge for the AEW World Championship. But he was more about filling out the numbers than actually winning the match. Okada didn't walk away with the contract, but he proved that even a small involvement could still be valuable. After all, sometimes being part of the action is better than sitting on the sidelines, right? However, some fans felt that Okada should have gotten a chance to defend the Continental Championship at All In, since he hadn't defended it on a big stage since capturing the belt from Eddie Kingston. All In was the perfect chance for Okada to get this big match, showcasing his reign all the while, yet AEW seemed to pass up the chance for a marquee moment. But on the next pay-per-view, All Out, Okada did successfully defend his title in a 4-way match against Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita. Then, on the October 2nd episode of AEW Dynamite, marking the company's 5th anniversary, Okada stepped up for his biggest challenge yet by facing Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship. Though he came up short, suffering his first singles loss in the company, it was still a great moment for him. In the meantime, the Young Bucks had just lost their tag team championships to Private Party, and Jack Perry had dropped his TNT title to Daniel Garcia. They all took some time off after this, leaving Okada on his own. This was a strange move by AEW, considering how dominant the New Elite had been. Just months earlier, they were the most powerful faction in the company, and suddenly it felt like their momentum had been put on pause without explanation. However, Okada continued to be on the show. AEW began the Continental Classic tournament, and as the reigning Continental Champion, Okada was automatically included in the lineup and placed in the Blue League. This tournament has a very complicated structure, which I'm not going to get into here, because I value my own time and sanity just as much as I value yours. It was a fresh opportunity for him to remind everyone why he was considered one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Okada had an impressive run in the tournament, finishing the Blue League with 10 points, securing a spot in the playoff stage at AEW World's End on December 30th, where he defeated Ricochet in the semi-finals, and then overcame his longtime rival Will Ospreay in a thrilling final. With those victories, Okada not only won the 2024 Continental Classic, but also retained his Continental Championship. But he didn't have much time to celebrate, because that's when Kenny Omega made his long-awaited AEW return. The company was signaling that this is what they were going to do, as this was the feud they had teased months ago, when Okada first aligned with the Elite, helping to take Omega out. Now Omega was back, and he wanted payback. The story was already written, all that was left to do was let it unfold. But for some reason, AEW decided to wait on it, and it has been over 4 months now since Kenny Omega made his return, and yet we still haven't seen a singles match between him and Okada in an AEW ring. The likely reason may be that AEW wants to save it for a big stage like All In, and to be fair, a match of that magnitude does deserve the biggest spotlight possible. Still, by teasing their confrontation multiple times and not following through, the company has stirred more frustration among its fans. The constant teases without payoff are starting to wear a little thin in 2025. We've already touched a little bit on Okada's Continental Championship reign. He's held the title for more than 400 days now, but the truth is, outside of his Continental Classic tournament win, the title hasn't really delivered any standout feuds or moments. That tournament was a great showcase of what Okada brings to the table, but on a larger scale, AEW has failed to book him to his full potential. This might be because there are too many championships in AEW, and the Continental Championship doesn't feel any different to any of the other titles that exist in the company, as we have the World Championship, which is also the top prize in AEW. But what's the second most valuable prize? Is it the TNT Championship? Is it the International Championship? Is it the Continental Championship? They even had the FTW Championship floating around there for a little while. The truth is, we don't know. Everybody gets a belt. This isn't a problem that's exclusive to AEW, by the way, but hey, at least the wrestlers get some championship wins to put on their resumes, and it gives them a reason to be on TV. But AEW has not established a proper hierarchy of these championships. So Okada holding the Continental Championship doesn't mean any more or any less than Jack Perry holding the TNT Championship, for example. To make any championship feel important, you need strong, credible challengers, but when a company has too many titles, it gets harder to find the right opponents for each belt, and that's exactly what's happening with Okada and the Continental Championship. If Okada had come into AEW in 2019 or 2020, then he probably would have been in a much better position, as there were less titles, and more general interest in the company overall. So winning one of the titles would have effectively meant more. Now, he has had some great matches in AEW, but just having great matches doesn't matter if there's no compelling stories behind them. Without strong rivalries, even the best in-ring performances can start to feel hollow. Now, don't let the title of this video fool you. We don't really think Kazuchika Okada has been ruined. Not yet. There seem to be some exciting things on the horizon for him at least, and we will probably get that teased Kenny Omega match at some point. But let's just hope, in the next couple of months, Kazuchika Okada gets the chance to become the best version of himself, and more importantly, that AEW gives him the platform to craft some matches worthy of all his hype, and more than that, worthy of the name he made for himself in Japan. And that's all we've got time for this one. Do you agree? Has AEW failed Kazuchika Okada? Are we entirely wrong? You can let us know all of your opinions down in the comment section below, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling to see more content like this. And you can also enable those notifications so you'll be the first to know when one of our videos drops. It'll help us a lot on our push to 200,000 subscribers. You've been watching Sportskeeda Wrestling. I've been Liam. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.